Hey, good afternoon, Saints. I'm sorry my voice sounds like poo-poo. I've literally been crying on and off for over a week, and I just felt led to get this video out. I haven't been able to get online. My camera, my phone, and my internet have all been attacked by the enemy, and I finally got it to start working again. Not showing my face because I literally look like somebody punched me in the eyes because my eyes are so swollen from crying. But I wanted y'all to know, people who are being isolated because God's got a calling for us, you're not alone. When I was in the world, I had tons of friends. I had, whatever guy I wanted, usually, not trying to brag, but I usually got whatever guy I wanted and had tons of friends. Was always being invited to parties and going out and all this. But then when I started following the Lord, it's like He has removed everybody from me, everyone. And on another video, I had said, I never had kids, never been married, and it actually says in the Bible that something about um, those who are not married are like the angels. So that is giving me hope. But anyway, I'm getting off track here. I haven't had a lot of sleep. I just wanted to let people know that you're not alone. The Lord is with us. It's been really hard for me the last few weeks because I was with my boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, for about a year and 3 months. The Lord warned me in a couple of dreams that were very detailed about who he really was. And I felt it in my spirit when I first started dating him, but I was just so tired of being alone. And I saw some good things in him. But anyway, I'm praying for his soul, but it's been revealed to me that what the Lord had showed me was true. Obviously, the Lord does not lie. But, when you get these revelations, you doubt. You're like, no, maybe I'm just overreacting. Maybe this, maybe that. Even with the couple of dreams I had about him being one of my gangstalkers, uh, I still wanted to, I believed it, but I wanted to not believe it. And anyway, he is. I got confirmation on a cool note. I got confirmation. My voice is being attacked too. I don't know if you can hear. It's real scratchy and hoarse. I'm having a hard time talking. And a couple of times when I've opened my Bible to pray over the last 2 days, I've just been attacked with coughing. And I don't have a cold. It's weird, but my nose is stuffed up because I've been crying. Anyway, yeah. Uh, the whole building was in on my targeting, which you people that are targeted, targeted individuals know how this is. When you first move in there, it's never an accident where you go. They strategically put you there. They know you have limited funds, limited resources. Usually most TIs are completely isolated, so we have no one to help us. And, we'll go to, oh, we finally found this place. Oh, how lucky. And then all of a sudden, you realize the whole building, every person in a building with, I think, 20 apartments, 18 apartments, every person is a gang stalker. The cool part is, I wanted to say, is that uh, about 2 weeks ago, anyway, long story short, sorry, I'm getting off track again. Long story short, um, I ended up moving out. I finally thought I was being blessed by the Lord, which I know He did bless me with what I have now. It's very, very, very tiny. Like, literally, it's probably 5 by 10. I'm not going to say more details because I just don't want to put it out there exactly where I'm at, but it's kind of a cool story. But anyway, yeah, the gang stalking started. I got about a week break, and then it started where I'm at now. However, I still was, keeping up with my prayers, staying sober because the enemy gets to me through drinking. That's been my thorn in my side since I was 16 years old. And unfortunately, I let it get to me over this past 2 weeks. I went back to drinking, and that's kind of why I'm putting this video out. Any of you saints, any of you that are being targeted, that have gone back to whatever your weakness is, don't feel the enemy is trying to make me feel like I've lost my salvation. And the Lord is saying, no, but you gotta stop. You gotta seek me. And it's like once you stop doing the first thing that keeps you close to God, which for me is getting up, reading my Bible, and praying, then you stop that because you went drinking. And then the next day you feel like poop. So then what do? You drink again, or whatever your weakness is. And then all of a sudden it's 2 weeks later and you realize, man, I've only opened my Bible a couple of times. And I usually am in the Word like, at least it's not as much as I should be, but at least an hour or two a day minimum. And then prayer. And then I listen to a lot of spiritual things online. But yeah, I wanted to put this video out there because the Lord is pretty cool. He confirmed this to me, but it kind of, I guess, triggered my drinking because it was just so upsetting that, man, this is not my imagination. This stuff is real. People are being sent to targeted individuals, which I feel are God's chosen, to take them away from the Lord, get them in the enemy's camp, make them give up, make them kill them, to where they feel hopeless and want to commit suicide, which I would never do that, even though I've been feeling hopeless lately, not completely lost my faith. And that's what the enemy's after. So here's my story. So I move out, and I left on good terms with my ex-boyfriend, even though I knew he was a stalker. It wasn't fully confirmed, although I had a couple dreams about it. But once I moved out, we left on good terms. He texted me a few days after I moved out, maybe like 4 or 5 days later, and just said, "Miss you." And I thought, oh, well, even if he is a stalker, which I'm still hoping he wasn't, we could still at least be friends because I really don't have anybody because I'm targeted so much. And I was like, I know there's people out there that like me, and then all of a sudden they don't want to have anything to do with me the next time I see them for no reason. And I'm like, what's going on? Well, that's because the enemy has got to them. And so then the ones that do stay with us, targets, those are placed there by the enemy. And that's what I'm going through right now. So he had texted me and said he missed me. And then I thought, a few days later, I was like, well, maybe we could go do something, as friends, still praying that he really wasn't a gang stalker. And it was in my imagination. And so I texted him a couple things, asked him if he wanted to go get something to eat or whatever. No, he's sick. Sorry. Then I don't hear from him again. This probably happened maybe a couple weeks ago. And then I text him. I started to get, wondering, like, what is going on? Because he was saying he missed me. It's all head games. It's all mind games that the enemy does to trigger us. And it worked this time, unfortunately. It made me start drinking again, but it was a whole slew of incidents. If it was just that one thing, it wouldn't have been a big deal, but I had been under the hardest attack I've ever had in my life, except maybe when I was living in a building with a bunch of Satanists and they killed my dog. Anyway, other than that time, this is like the hardest hit that I've been hit. And I think most of us saints, most of us God's chosen, were going through the same thing. And somebody had just, messaged me saying that, everything had been taken away from them, their wife, their house, their dogs, and they're not feeling very blessed. Why doesn't the Lord allow this? Well, my answer is, what I'm getting is that we are being tested. We have to go through the fire. This is our price we pay. This is our sacrifice, rather, to pick up our crosses daily, to carry the cross. And it's like, if we look at what Jesus did for us, the stuff that's happening is nothing. But it just gets lonely because there's nobody there. You're completely isolated. But getting back to with my ex-boyfriend, so here's how God confirmed it. So he had kept taking up for everybody in the building, saying, no, I'm crazy. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. And I knew they were. I knew it. But like a gangstalker does, they want you to think you're crazy. That's their goal. Get you to kill yourself. That doesn't work. Make you think you're crazy or drive you crazy. So I'm still not drinking at this point. And I go to the grocery store. And I live a couple miles from where I lived before. All right? So there's other groceries by where I lived before. But anyway, I go over to this grocery, and I'm walking, I'm about to walk in, and something, which I know was God's voice, told me to turn around and go over by the bus stop. There's a bus stop that's not, I don't have to pass it to go into the grocery. It's, it's going the other way. And, there's a crowd of people sitting there. And I only see the back of this guy's head. Of course, he's wearing a red hat, like all gangstalkers always have red on for me. And God told me, go over there. So I walk over and I'm thinking, what? And then I see him. I see the guy. I've only seen him twice before. So I wasn't quite sure at first where I knew him from. And he looked right at me. And he looked really scared. And I said, hi, like that. And he goes, hi. And I walked off. And I was like, who is that, Lord? And then the Lord said, go back. I want you to go back and witness to him. So I turned back around, and there's other people there, but this was this particular kid. It was a younger kid, maybe 25. I go back, and then I see he's holding a little black dog. The dog is what triggered me to remember where I saw him from. He's freaking a gangstalker in my building. And honestly, I've only seen him there twice. They rotate people in and out, so there's always new people. There's the random, 5 or 10 that are always there, but then there's like 30 or 40 different ones that come in and go. So it's very, So I go back, and this particular kid was the only one in the building that I felt like really did not want to be doing the gangstalking. I felt it in my spirit that he was actually not wanting to do it. He wanted to get out, but he was scared, and he was, I guess, being held captive by the enemy, really. I don't know if he was threatened into it or what, because there's different reasons why people go into gangstalking. But this particular person, I did not feel was doing it because they wanted money, or the sick ones, the Satanists, actually like it. They get off to harming people. It makes them smile. You'll actually see them laughing as they're doing these things. But I go back over there, and I said, I know you. And he kind of looked nervous again, and then I said, do you live at, and I gave my old address. And he goes, yeah. I said, I know you know me. I'm your neighbor. And he kind of smiled nervously, and I said, I'm the one that the whole building was gangstalking. As soon as I said that, 2 men, they're never alone. These gangstalkers are a bunch of wimps and cowards. We targeted individuals are very strong people. We're alone. doing this battle all the time, day in and day out. You know what I'm talking about. It never ends. Even when you're in your house, they're doing it. I had a neighbor just peeking in the window just now. Seriously. Anyway, God bless their souls, Lord. So as soon as I said, yeah, I'm the one that the whole building's been gang stalking. Two men standing, one was standing like behind him, and then the other one was like on the side or whatever. Well, they're part of it, and I guess they're watching him to make sure he does what he's told. They immediately swarmed. It was bizarre. They immediately swarmed, and one guy comes over and asks him, "Hey, can I get a cigarette?" while I'm talking, right in the middle of the next thing I was about to say. He goes, "Hey man, can I get a cigarette?" There's a bunch of other people. There's at least 15 other people there he could have asked, but he chooses that particular time, and it was to break off our conversation. And then I continued to talk over the other guy, who was dressed to look like a homeless person, which I don't think he was homeless, but anyway. And I said, I don't actually remember in detail what I said because I don't think it was me talking. I think it was the Holy Spirit talking through me. But I said something like, I didn't know you were sitting here. I didn't see your face. I didn't remember who you were until just now. But the Lord honestly told me to come over here and witness to you. And I said, and the guy is now telling him, "Oh, what a cute little dog. Oh, I need to get a little dog." Right? And anyway, trying to break our conversation. So I'm talking over this other guy. And then the other guy standing behind with like his arms crossed. Like, don't say anything to her, right? And I said something like, the Lord told me to come over here and witness to you. I didn't see you. I didn't know who you were at first. But I feel that you still have not hardened your heart, and you can get out if you want to. And he looked at me and listened, and he was looking me right in the eyes. And see, none of the other gang stalkers will make eye contact. I don't know if you targets that have the same thing. They don't make eye contact. Unless there's a few that do that are high up Satanists, and they're trying to put a curse on you is what I feel. But for the most part, 9 out of 10 of them will not look at you. But he looked right at me, and he was listening. I could tell he was listening, and I said, "The Lord will help you, but you have to cry out to Jesus." And all the while, this guy is talking over me, all the while. I mean, it was that rude and obvious. And I said, "Excuse me." I said, I looked at the guy who was still talking, and I don't even know what he said by then, because I was being led to say what I said. I said, "Excuse me, but he has a right to his own thoughts. Don't scare him like that." And then I said, "Well, it's very obvious that this is part of the crew." I said, "And they don't want us to talk. But I'll just let you know that you can get out. And the Lord showed me that you have not hardened your heart yet. And all you have to do is cry out to Jesus, and he'll help you." And I walked off. And as I walked off, he yelled over his shoulder, "Thank you. Thank you." That was my confirmation that, yes, I was right. Because he didn't go, "What are you talking about, gang stalkers? What are you talking about?" No, I didn't do that. Or even ask him, "What is that? What do you mean?" No, he knew I was right. He knew I knew who he was. But anyway, that was my confirmation that the building was in on it. So that was also my confirmation that my ex-boyfriend was in on it, because he was buddies with this guy. So it really, really hit me. Not that day, but a few days later, when I text my ex again and was just saying, "Hey, why don't you want to talk to me? I thought we were going to at least stay friends." And then finally he says, "Oh, I need some space," which I found weird because he didn't want me to move out. And now all of a sudden he needs space. Oh, and that was another thing that happened. I hadn't heard from him in a week. This happened. 20 minutes after I saw that kid, he texts me, "Did you get everything moved okay?" And it was very odd because I'd moved out a few weeks before. So it was almost like he was like nervous. Oh my gosh, somehow it got back to him that I confronted that kid. So anyway, that was one of my incidents over the last few weeks. But anyway, then I go to get to the Walmart. Go to Walmart, and I have to take a bus because I can't drive because they ruined that for me. But anyway, and I get to the bus station. It's cold out and it's kind of like drizzling. There's only maybe 4 people, and it's like it's called Grand Central, and it's a big station where all the buses transfer. And what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. I'm still very like shocked about all this. Not really shocked because I knew, but it's just overwhelming sometimes, But anyway, I get to the Grand Central, and it's about 10 minutes, 15 minutes when my bus comes. And there's like 20 park benches in a circle around this thing. And there's only like 4 people there. And 2 of them were standing. So there's only literally 2 people plus me sitting on benches. So there's plenty of benches, is my point, for somebody to sit on. And I'm looking down, I'm looking at my purse, and all of a sudden I feel something on my shoulder. It startled me because it was up on my shoulder. And I look over and, yep, there's a gangstalker wearing a red hoodie. He had jumped onto the back. Some of the stuff they do is just so out there. He jumped onto the back of my park bench and was squished up next to me. And I jumped up, and I looked at him like, what in the world? And he goes, oh, did I scare you? He wanted me to be frightened. I wasn't frightened. I was kind of like, perturbed at first. I'm like, dude, you really have to sit there, right? And then I realized, no, we're supposed to show love. It's hard sometimes, though, but sometimes it just wears you out. But anyway, and then I realized, okay, he's definitely a gangstalker. But I'm not going to get mad at him. Let's just see what he wants. And so then I go, no, you didn't scare me. And then I just said it. I said, I'm a targeted individual, and I get gangstalked. And he looked and he shook his head like he knew. And then we started talking. I can't remember the whole thing. But he ended up, just out of the blue, the stranger, this was God's confirmation too, on part of my calling, is that I'm a seer. I've always seen things, or been led to things or had weird signs that other people don't. I'm sure you saints out there have the same thing, but most people don't have this. And one time I was even led to move to this little place in Houston. I look out my window. It's just like a rented room, I look out my window, and the sign was an old Sears sign. Sears. Sears. And it was like, oh my gosh, a Sears. I just thought it was kind of funny that was the view from my window, was that sign. Anyway, this gangstalker, I shouldn't say he's a kid. He told me he was like 30 something, 32 or something. But anyway, he says, you see things. You're a seer. Just out of the blue. He goes, can you tell me what this dream means? I've had this reoccurring dream. This is at a bus stop, okay? And this stuff will happen to me from time to time. Strange things like this. And then he starts telling me the dream, and I immediately knew what it was. And which the Lord was telling me what it was. And I told him, and he was like, oh, that makes sense, or whatever. Anyway, then I said, I'm not trying to be rude. After he finished his story, I needed to see where my bus was going to be coming in at. And he said, which bus are you taking? And I told him. And then I said, oh, that's it. It's got like 5 more minutes or something on the sign. I said, are you taking that bus? He goes, no. Then he continues to talk to me. Then he's holding something in his hand, and it's a drink. And he tells me that he has a problem with alcohol. But if I was with him all the time, he would never drink. It's just a gangstalker thing they do. try to trigger you. Everything's about drinking with me. Wherever I go, people mention, oh, you want to get a margarita? Or they'll be like, just out of the blue, how are you doing today? Oh, I could be better if I had a rum and coke. You got a rum and coke? Strangers will do this to me all the time. Anyway, so he tells me that. Now remember, he said he wasn't getting on my bus. So my bus comes, and I get on, and he gets on behind me and sits next to me. And then he starts telling me, no matter what happens, you'll always be a mother to me. And I said, excuse me, what are you talking about? No matter what happens. I'm like, what do you mean? And I knew he was trying to put fear in me. That's how the enemy works. And I said, no matter what happens, I said, I go home. I said, I'm not scared. I said, I can't wait to be out of this world, but until the Lord calls me home, I'm still here. And then he goes, you know they want you gone, don't you? This kid, or not kid, I mean he's younger than me, but 30-something-year-old confirmed again. This is in 1 week, y'all. 1 week I had this. And he said, you know they want you gone. And I was like, oh yeah, I know. He goes, they want you out of here, like gone. Again, like stressing. To me, that was a death threat. But guess what? I'm still here. So I was just putting this video out there. I have no one to talk to, and I've been under a horrible attack for the last week, including by another so-called friend that now is a. I always had a feeling he was a gangstalker too, and he might not be a gangstalker, but he's definitely being used by the enemy. So I wanted to let y'all know, you who are going through these horrible trials and all this weird stuff is happening, that you're not alone, and that Jesus is coming back very soon. And forgive yourself and repent if you've slipped up like I've been doing and been drinking. And even when I was out drinking, of course I would have people, I've actually had someone admit they were Satanists to me a couple nights ago. Just out of the blue, a bartender says, if you haven't, just to a guy that was staring at me doing gang sign signals, and as he's leaving, he's like, oh, we can't, oh, I know what it was on Valentine's. He goes, oh, we can't, or I can't wait, we're finally going to have it, it's going to be some good eating. It was really creepy. And then the bartender says to him, it was a female bartender, she goes, yeah, if you haven't sold your soul to Satan yet. And I looked at her and I said, he already has. And she goes, oh, I know. And then they smiled at each other with this creepy smile. By the way, that bar that I was in, which I know I shouldn't be in a bar, Saints, but I just got so lonely. And I just wanted to be out and talk with people, but I don't fit in anywhere anymore, which means I'm not part of the world. But that was my ex's. He liked that bar. I met another friend in there. Not a friend, but someone that I met and talked to a couple times before. And he's like, hey, you want to go get something to eat? This also happened the same night on Valentine's. I was like, sure. And my other so-called friend that I found out is not, was with me. And so we said, yeah, we'll go get something. So we walked. I kid you not. We walked of all the places, and I don't live in a small place. I mean, there's plenty of places to go eat. Of all the places that this guy picked to eat, guess who's in there? Because it's a restaurant, but there's also a bar. Guess who's sitting at the bar? Yep, you guessed it. My ex-boyfriend. I walked past him because I actually couldn't believe it was him, because I hadn't seen him in a month. His hair, he'd grown his hair out a little more, and he shaved, because he usually has somewhat of a beard. So I wasn't sure if it was him, and I walked past him and looked at him, and I had to go to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom, and I was going to come back out and go, hey, what's up? When I come back out, he's gone. And that really set me off on a drinking binge, because I'm like, what in the world is this? We left on good terms. He told me he didn't want me to leave. I could stay if I wanted to and all this. And then all of a sudden it's like, I don't know. If y'all have any clues to what that is, all I can guess is the enemy is working through him still. But that's about all I have right now. I just wanted to give people hope that are under similar situations. And if anybody would let me know that y'all are going through something similar to this would be so encouraging for me, because I really am alone right now. And I pray for all you saints. I pray for all God's people, and I pray for the lost. And I even pray for the gangstalkers, the fallen ones. I honestly think a lot of these gangstalkers are the fallen angels. Anyway, God bless you. God bless you and keep you, and stay strong. Stay in prayer, because I know when I don't pray and I don't read my Bible, yeah, I can tell a big difference. All right, ta-ta.